Somebody got feedback.
Getting a little feedback here from somewhere. I know we're missing a couple, but I know they're either on their way. I think maybe Larry is out of town. I hadn't heard from Miss Jackie or Ben. They're probably on their way.
Ben's gonna be late.
Okay.
Ben said he'd be pretty late for his work session.
Am I hearing feedback or is that just me? Okay. So I'm gonna call us to order this for our work session, and if you would, Miss Mary, read the call the roll, please.
Chairman Smith,
Here.
Mrs. Black. Here. Mr. Connor,
Here.
Mr. Daugherty, Mr. Groan, Mrs. Haddon. Here. Mrs. Jones,
Present.
Mr. Keene,
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Here.
Mr. Slater,
Here.
Ms. Thomas. Superintendent Dr. Robertson.
Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everybody to our work session. We have several delegations that have properly registered, signed up to speak, so we look forward to hearing from each one. I would ask that we respect one another, and whoever is at the podium speaking, that we silently listen and to what that person has to say, whether we agree with them or not, and that would be encouragement, advice to everybody. So I'm going to turn this over to my vice chair here, who will read the delegation statement. And go ahead there, Mr. Gary.
All right. Thank you all for your interest in addressing the Hamilton County School Board of Education. During your presentation, please address the board as a whole, not individual board members or the administrators. Also, please do not present complaints or concerns you have about an individual employee of the school system. If you wish to voice those complaints and concerns, you should contact the central office and ask for a meeting with the superintendent, since he is the responsible person for individual employees. Pursuant to Board Policy 1.404, individuals speaking to the board shall address their remarks to the chair. Each person speaking shall state his or her name, address, and the subject of his or her presentation. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes. If 3 or more people speak on the same subject, then they are collectively limited to 10 minutes total. By the title of what's been turned in that you're going to be speaking about, we do not have more than 3 talking about that, so you'll all get your 3 minutes. But please remember what you turned in, speak on that topic. So first, we will have Cassie Almond.
While Ms. Allman is coming to the podium, I would note, just for the record, that Mr. Groan has joined us electronically here. You see that? Okay.
Am I good to start whenever?
Name, address, and...
So my name is Cassandra Almond, or Cassie. My address is 1021 East 5th Street, and my topic is mental health. So like I said, my name is Cassie. I'm a psychology major at UTC, and for the past 6 years, I've worked in various community mental health settings. For the past 4 years specifically, I've been working with teenagers in Chattanooga. I've worked with kids from every background: Christian, atheist, Democratic, Republic, wealthy, poor, from supportive families, and from foster care. Kids who have all experienced all different types of trauma, from sex trafficking to natural disasters. I've lost count of the amount of times that I've sat on the floor with these kids while they sobbed about wanting to end their life, and I've seen the ligature marks around their necks after they've tried. These are the same kids that you serve, kids who spend hours on end, day after day, for years of their lives in your schools. I began working in the field that I do because I myself was once a traumatized teenager without any hope for my future. And I've experienced personally both sides of the coin, going to a public school with little to no mental health resources and going to a school that provides them. The school with no mental health resources left administration unsure of what to do with me, while teachers tried their best to support me, but were highly unequipped and had no resources to refer me to. Eventually, I was kicked out and I went to a school with resources, and that school quite literally saved my life. You see, much like the children we serve in Chattanooga, I came from a family that had no real issue with therapy, but they saw it as a waste of money. So even after multiple suicide attempts, it wasn't worth it for them to pay for it. For years of my life, the only support that I could access was through my school. So hear me out. We can't afford to keep dragging our feet. It's been over 3 months. Their struggles didn't stop when services did. When considering your vote on potential providers later this evening, I urge you to discuss whether or not you are adequately filling the gap left by 32 previous mental health providers, and what it will look like if you don't. I urge you to fill this gap with neutral, non-politically affiliated, non-religiously affiliated, or otherwise biased providers that can physically and literally meet these kids where they're at. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Reed Hampton. She's not
here. Reed Hampton. I'm a student at Signal Mountain Middle High School. Before I start, I do want to say congrats to our teachers on getting that union reauthorization, but what I actually signed up for. I do want to take a brief moment to address something I have observed in my time working with this board over the last year. I've noticed that members of this board have slowly forgotten why they ran for their seats. I want to take a brief reminder of why you're here. In my work with elected officials and with candidates, I've learned that everyone runs for office because of one or both of a set of goals. First is a genuine desire to serve your community in the best way possible. In the case of the school board, to serve not just the community, but also the students within the school system. I believe that in your hearts, each and every one of you ran for this seat for this reason. And while we may disagree on how best to do that, I admire your dedication. Second, you may have run looking to someday advance to a higher office where you can help more and more of the community. I say this not to insult, because it's not a bad reason. I think several of you do have this ambition, so let it guide you to continue to do the right by the whole community, because in the long term, that is what will help you move up when you're ready. Going forward from this moment through the remainder of your terms, I urge each of you to remember why you campaigned and asked voters to appoint you to this seat, this job, and to return to that mindset so that you can truly do right by the community and by all of the students whom you serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Ada Hendon. I'm gonna have you go after the, if that's all right.
Ada Herndon, District 1. I am aware that at least one of the organizations you will consider today is faith-based. If you vote to instate that organization and that organization alone, there will be more noise than you have ever experienced. You have committed a hypocritical and unjust act. What has happened here every month since September has been a result of fear. What has been claimed as standing up in honor of God. We don't know the same God. Put the reason you're here to care for students above your political and religious affiliations. It is not right to silence what makes you uncomfortable. The uncomfortable enables us to grow. You have to be willing to see beyond the blinders that are covering your eyes, because these groups are our lifelines, not our parents, not our community leaders, ours. What you do up here has no effect on you, but it affects our everyday. Listen to those in which who this decision is affecting. We have showed up every month. We have told you not only what we want, but what we need to survive, literally. The position you are in today, you are there for because our parents and our grandparents trusted you enough to care for us. I don't feel cared for, and I haven't felt cared for months. You won last month. Now it is your duty to do the fair thing. You have a chance to earn back some respect from the community who put you in those seats today. And state every service on the table. Allow for a diverse set of institutions to care for all students, help all students, love all students. In light of it all, we could give Hamilton County kids more resources than what we had just a few months ago. That's the Jesus I know, the man who brings light through the bleakest of situations. Act as he would today. Give this community's children a fighting chance and a beacon of hope, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Herndon.
Mark Herndon, 2907 Leggett Road. Sorry, I'm a little shaky. I'm so freaking proud of my daughter.
Yeah.
Some of you guys have the fortune of knowing my dad. He taught me a couple things in life. One of the things that I have held on to dearly that he taught me was to devoutly look for beauty in my terrible situations. I've developed that because I have had the misfortune of having a lot of bad things happen to me. I disagree with how you guys got to where you're at. But we have more than one option servicing kids that need help, and you guys have the option to give us that. It didn't start, it didn't sound like, it didn't look like, you didn't talk about it this way, but here we are. We have more for our kids, more, better, more diverse. I don't think there should be any doubt in any of your minds that the vote should be yes to anything that everybody that has worked so hard to put together for this. They passed that. They have met the criteria. Please just say yes to everything and everybody that got through, because our kids are really disappointed in how we have gotten to this place. Imagine what could have happened. Imagine how simple this could have been if instead of how it happened, we would have said, we want more options for our kids. Let's include more. It would have helped us so much to understand, to accept things that happen that we don't to this day understand. Please use this beautiful thing in the midst of a really difficult time to bring beauty to our community and say, yes, our kids actually do matter. Please.
Thank you. All right, we have Jeanette Omarkill.
And my entourage.
If you don't mind, if you'd stand behind her, please. Thank you.
Jeanette Omarkill, HCA President, 6731 Flagstone Drive. I'm going to speak about PECA. So good evening, Chairman Smith, board members, and Superintendent Robertson. We are pleased to stand here tonight to share the results of the 2025 PECA vote. Over the past 2 weeks, educators across Hamilton County made their voices heard. 63% of eligible voters said yes to entering collaborative conferencing, affirming their belief in a process that brings educators in the district together to improve our schools. And in an overwhelmingly positive show of confidence, 93% of voting educators selected Hamilton County Education Association to continue representing them during the next phase, continuing a role HCA has held with pride for the past 78 years. We are honored by that trust. Beginning next month, a team representing both the district and teachers will be presented to you. These will be the individuals responsible for conferencing the 6 topics open for discussion under PECA: salaries and wages, grievance procedures, insurance, fringe benefits, working conditions, and leave. We are committed to approaching this work collaboratively, transparently, and with a focus on strengthening teaching and learning conditions for all. As we move forward, HCA will be creating multiple opportunities for educators to share their input, ask questions, and help shape the proposals that reflect their daily experiences in our classrooms and schools. Their voices will guide our work. Thank you for your support of a process that encourages partnership and shared responsibility. We look forward to working together in the months ahead to build a stronger Hamilton County schools for our students and our educators. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one that signed up today, Sabrina Daniel.
My name is Sabrina Daniel. I live at 4410 Maryland Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 37412. I've given part of this to you all. I don't know if you read it, tore it up, packed it away. But anyway, if it sounds familiar, part of this was something I didn't have a chance to say. I'm a Christian conservative patriot retired teacher with a couple of administrative degrees. I'm concerned about some of the decisions being made on the Hamilton County School Board. Centerstone Mental Health Services and other groups that I have never heard of, according to Newsbreak, a national news organization that picked up this meeting, that I've never heard of or will be discussed, including a psychiatric group out of Texas on Thursday, today. Biblically, children belong to the parents, not the state or the government. However, if this list is available to parents, Centerstone should not be on it, and I know of 4 counseling centers in Chattanooga who should be on the list for parental consideration. Every human being and organization operates out of values, even if they say they have no values. Elbow Tree Counseling on the south side, Roots, Red Bank, Lighthouse, Lee Highway, Henniger, Macaulay Avenue, all of these counsel from biblical principles. Even if you're not a believer, and if you polled Hamilton County parents, I suspect that you would come up with the fact that, no, I don't really care about that, but I would like my children to know a little bit about Judeo-Christian character traits. The foundation, we talked about that already. Parents are given ultimate responsibility over their child's education. They may choose to take the full responsibility, as in homeschooling, which is rapidly growing, or they may delegate some of that responsibility to whomever they choose. The purpose of the school system was to teach reading so they could read the Bible, the world's best read book, teach writing and arithmetic. We have sadly deleted Bible and cursive writing, which is needed for legal documents. We include broader curriculum in the elementary school: reading, handwriting, print, spelling, English, math, science, social studies, music, art, and physical education, not to mention lunch and recess. Wow. Teachers have a monumental task to cover all this well. Truly, it is an impossible job. I believe in supporting students. My tax dollars pay for $22 million in support services, coaches, counselors, and social work positions. I reject outsourcing our children's care to outside groups, and if there are going to be outside groups considered, even a board member said to me, we need to have secular organizations and we need to have faith-based organizations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And we are done.
Okay, thank you to all of our delegations. So we've got some presentations. Charter School Board Training.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us an opportunity to speak to you this evening. Our charter school office mission statement, just as a reminder, states that we will practice rigorous charter school authorization, provide meaningful support, and protect school choice in order to uphold high academic standards, create fair and equitable opportunities, and improve outcomes for students and families in Hamilton County. Our hope tonight is that we equip you so you can assist us as we carry out our mission. Sorry. Yes, magic touch. I promise I was hitting the right button. Charter schools were developed to create an alternative vision for schooling to serve a special target population of students or to gain flexibility and autonomy from local school districts. Currently, we have 9 charter schools, and the majority of these schools pull from our Midtown schools. Points the other way. This way? Towards them. Towards the computer. How about I just hand it
There's
to you?
4 of them lined up there. You can.
Obviously, target practicing is oh, there we go. Just kidding. Okay. Our nine charter schools currently serve 3,035 Hamilton County students. That is up from 2,950 students at this time last year. Similar to district-wide trends, charter schools that did not add new grade levels saw slight enrollment declines, with the exception of Ivy Academy, which maintained the same number of students. This year is a milestone year for CCSE High School as it graduates its first senior class. We also saw growth through grade expansions at Skillern Elementary, which added 4th grade, and Chad Academy Community School, which added 8th grade. In terms of governance, most charters operate with their own independent boards, while the 3 CCSE feeder schools share a single governing board. Ivy Academy and Skillern each have their own boards as well, but they work together through an articulation agreement. This table shows the academic performance of our charter schools based on the Tennessee Charter School Performance Framework. Scores range from 1 to 4, with 1 meaning far below standard and 4 meaning exceed standards. Orange highlights show schools performing below the district, green shows at or above, and red indicates embargoed areas, while gray means the school wasn't eligible for a score. Charter school law and policy in Tennessee comes from 3 main sources: Tennessee Code Annotated, the State Board of Education, and the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission, which can authorize schools that an LEA declines. In addition, best practices and training for authorizers are provided by NACSA, or the National Association of Charter School Authorizers. As you learn more about the world of charters, it is important that you understand several key charter terms. The authorizer is the LEA, or agency that approves and oversees the charter school. The charter agreement is the legal contract between the authorizer and the school. A charter school operates under this agreement within the LEA, and a CMO, or charter management organization, manages multiple schools. Currently, Prep Public School is our only CMO. Finally, it's important to recognize that the authorizer fee is a portion of the charter's budget. It's up to 3% or $35,000 paid to the LEA to support district charter operations. It is critical for our school board to be active participants and properly trained in charter school authorization, because strong planning and informed oversight ensures high-quality, equitable educational opportunities. Board engagement supports thoughtful decision-making, clear accountability, and a commitment to excellence, helping the LEA authorize and monitor charter schools effectively while aligning with district goals and state standards. The principles we follow when authorizing charter schools come from the Tennessee State Standards for Quality Authorizing and are outlined in our charter handbook. These principles are: 1, maintain high standards; 2, uphold school autonomy; and 3, protect students and public interest. School autonomy allows a charter to have an independent governing board, hire its own staff, set its vision and culture, choose instructional programs, create schedules, and manage its own budget. In 2018, the Tennessee Department of Education published a model charter school performance framework, and Hamilton County schools followed suit. Using this framework, the authorizer is required to review each charter annually. State law requires a 5-year review where the charter submits a mini application, and a 10-year renewal when the charter must reapply to the LEA to continue operating. In 2026, CCSE Elementary and Montessori Elementary at Highland Park will undergo their 5-year review. We will also be preparing for Chat Prep's 10-year renewal, which must be completed by 2027. I'm a slide ahead. Okay, thank you. In your packet, you'll find the HCS Charter School Framework and the Annual Authorizer Report for later review. This framework guides our reauthorization process and annual evaluations. It's organized into 3 main areas: academic performance and school culture, financial performance, and organizational performance. For academics, we look at student achievement, how the school compares to district averages, and indicators of school culture like attendance, attrition, and teacher retention. Financial performance covers both short-term health and long-term sustainability. Organizational performance includes compliance, programming, facilities, and student and staff rights. The State and Charter Commission recently updated their model framework, so we're updating the HCS framework to align with these standards, which will be implemented next school year. We conduct 2 site visits each year with support from HCS leaders across departments. During these visits, we observe general, special education, and E&L classrooms, and interview students, teachers, administrators, board members, and parents. Schools on the state's designation list receive additional site visits, which focus on the specific goals outlined in the school's E-plan. After each visit, we provide detailed feedback to support continuous improvement. As the charter school's LEA and authorizer, we are responsible for monitoring school performance and notifying leadership of any identified deficiencies. To support this, we have a formal procedure for issuing notices to both school administrators and governing boards. While the procedure may appear to follow a step-by-step model, it does not have to progress sequentially. The HCS board or administration may assign a school to any status level at any time if circumstances require immediate attention. Notices may be issued for issues such as noncompliance with a charter contract, state laws, or district policies, failure to meet reporting requirements, or not achieving performance goals. In some cases, schools may be required to develop a performance improvement plan to monitor and track corrective actions. As you all probably remember from last year, we do have an application cycle, and that will be coming up. So in addition to overseeing our existing charter schools, we also evaluate new charter applications. This is guided by Tennessee law and TDOE policy. Applications are due by 11:59 on February 1st, or the next business day if the deadline falls on a weekend. The review process begins as soon as the application is submitted, and applicants may be charged up to $2,500 provided this is communicated in advance. That's important to recognize, because as soon as we get that application is when the clock starts ticking. So I always like to point that out. Letters of intent, let me back up for a second. Letters of intent are due by December 3rd. So you have to submit that letter of intent in order to submit an application. We will identify a review committee to evaluate applications using the state scoring rubric and conduct capacity interviews to ask follow-up questions or gather additional information not included in the application. Once the application is submitted, the HCS board must vote within 90 days. If no vote is made within this period, the application is automatically approved. If denied, the LEA must provide written notice and feedback within 10 days. If the applicant updates and resubmits the application, the board has 60 days to vote again. Again, if no vote occurs, the application is deemed approved, and denials require notice and feedback within 5 days. At that point, applicants may appeal to the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission within 10 days of a denial. The commission makes a final decision within 75 days. If approved by the commission, there is a 30-day period for the district and the applicant to reach a mutual agreement if we choose to do so. If no agreement is reached, then the commission becomes the authorizer, even though the school operates within our district. And just for your information, we currently do not have any official letters of intent. However, we have received some correspondence indicating that we may be getting a letter of intent by that deadline. When a school board considers authorizing a charter school, their responsibility is to conduct thorough due diligence. This means evaluating multiple critical areas to ensure the school can succeed and serve the community effectively. Boards must review the proposed school's academic quality, financial stability, governance structure, legal compliance, operational readiness, and community impact. They also need to verify the integrity and track record of the operators and assess potential risks along with mitigation strategies. Throughout this process, boards are encouraged to reach out to the charter school office for guidance. Additionally, the review committee will provide a recommendation report that includes detailed findings and can serve as a basis for developing further questions. By carefully examining each of these components, the board fulfills its obligation to make informed, responsible decisions that protect students and taxpayers alike. I'm glad Mr. Groen is joining us via Teams this evening, because I want to give him a special shout out tonight. He asked very thoughtful questions and made sure to seek clarification last year regarding a school application located within his district. So please always know that we are here for a resource, and reach out to us during that application cycle or any time during the school year. As an authorizer, we do get evaluated by the state board. This is required by TCA. TCA requires biannual evaluations of all charter authorizers, with self-evaluations conducted in alternate years. We are currently in our third evaluation cycle. The state board evaluation team uses a rubric aligned with the quality charter authorizing standards to assess 5 areas: agency commitment and capacity, application process and decision-making, performance contracting, oversight and evaluation, and amendment, renewal, and revocation. Each area includes standards and substandards to measure compliance and quality, and authorizers are rated from 0 to 4 based on how well criteria are met. The State Board of Education will submit final evaluation reports for approval during the State Board's February meeting, so we will know how we did at that point. If you are interested in learning more, the Tennessee School Board Association offers training for board members, which are recorded and available upon request. They have recently also added an additional feature, and they offer online professional development opportunities that focus on charter schools that count toward your state-required training hours. So if any of you members need some hours and want to learn more about charter schools, please note that that is on the TSBA website. Additionally, the NACSA Leadership Conference, held each fall, provides sessions specifically designed for board members to enhance their knowledge and effectiveness in charter school governance. Exciting news, the conference for the next 2 years will be taking place in Nashville, so not too far away. So if you are free and available, the conference typically takes place in October right after fall break. So we would love for you to join us at that conference. If you have any other questions, my contact information is included, and you can also reach out to Jim Bowles, who is the Director of Choice for the district. We are both happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can you answer a couple right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got some lights on up here.
Absolutely. Happy to answer whatever you have.
Mr. King?
Could you go back to slide 4?
Certainly. Let's see, I'm not sure which one slide 4 was.
It's your
Assessment results.
You're on 8 right now, so there you go, right there.
Perfect.
So, 2 things. Why are those embargoed right now? Why are the 2 categories embargoed?
The state has not released them yet.
And that's my next question was, when do you think those will be released?
I'm going to look to my experts over here. Do we know when the state, Shannon, is going to release that information?
I was listening to a question, didn't hear your question, so sorry.
So the chronic absenteeism and state report card, they're embargoed. Now I know the state report card when it comes out, but regular schools have received the chronic absenteeism already.
They have received the chronic absenteeism. The state report card will become unembargoed, I think they're telling us in January.
Probably been.
Okay.
And so I'll check on that exact date, but it's when the state report card goes live that becomes unembargoed.
Okay. So my question on that was, is it marked red just because it's embargoed and you don't know what color to put it? Or is it
it's marked red, so I don't get in trouble by the state and release information that I don't have, I'm not allowed to release. So as soon as, it was my understanding that the chronic absenteeism category is still under embargoed. If it is not, I am happy to share that information with you.
Okay. And then the last question I have, who ends up, and maybe it's Mr. Bowles' question, but who ends up on the review committee that makes the different recommendations?
Yeah, I think I can answer that question. Mr. Bowles is definitely encouraged to come up and share as well. We seek representatives from each department, making sure that we have experience represented from XED, ENL, nonprofit agencies is important, that we have that lens. We team up with legal to provide input, but it is a teaching and learning depending on the grade levels, the grade bands. We have teaching and learning sit in on that. It's a wide array to make sure that we're looking at it from every lens, including facilities and operation. We pull from them as well, financial.
My reason for asking that, like Ivy and Skellern have a different concept of school going into some of the other charter schools, and I didn't know if the review committees were specific to that type of school or if it was a general review committee.
It is a general review committee, but as we review applications, that is one part, a component of being a charter school, is that you are offering something that isn't just cookie cutter from your home zone school. So those are questions that we intentionally ask, especially during the capacity interview. That is part of the written application too, is to explain your programming, why it's necessary, why your community needs that type of programming. That is also the updated framework will also have a component that targets the specific mission of the charter school.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Quick question, if you can back up to slide 3, where you give us the number of students at each location.
Yes, sir.
Is there a significance that some of them are listed in red and some
Yeah.
are in green?
Yes, and I apologize, I didn't give you a key on that. The red are where schools saw a decline in enrollment. The green is where you see an increase in enrollment. I will point out the 3 that have the green are schools that added a grade level, so that is a correlation to their increased enrollment. And then purple for Ivy is because they stayed the exact same as last year.
Okay, got kind of a follow-up to that.
Certainly.
Capacity. Where do these schools stand in terms of what their capacity is?
So I cannot answer each specific because I don't know what is in their contract agreements. That is part of their agreement. I will tell you that Ivy, I think, is at capacity. And Skill Learn for their current enrollment. They are both at capacity.
Okay.
The others, I would have to look at what contractually they're allowed to. Within their contract, it says how many students they can enroll.
Okay.
Skill Learn will be when they add their 5th grade.
Right.
This coming year.
They've anticipated a general number that they.
Correct, and they will this year when they add 5th grade.
Okay. No other lights, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Okay, that takes us down to our quarterly benefits updates, which is always a fun conversation.
Hi, good evening. I'm Penny Murray, and we are here to provide just a quarterly update. We've been working with the Finance Committee, and we thought this would be helpful information for the board going into budget season as well. So I'm going to let Brent Wick from our broker, he's going to lead the conversation tonight.
Good evening. Kind of reference a lot of the information we went over back when we did the annual review several months ago. Hopefully directionally I get this right. There we go. So just to level set and remind you this exact same information we looked at prior, but just from a budget standpoint, last year our health plan ran at just over $86 million. The budget for this current year is around $91.5 million. Just to give kind of a level set of what that's total cost, not the school actual cost. Part of that's paid by employees and then part paid by a school board. That 91.5% represents about a 6% in total cost increase that was expected. We're going to go through kind of how the plan is running so far this quarter. I do want to remind you all that the changes that have been made with pharmacy and the multiple things that were voted on prior, most of those do not impact cost until the last half of the fiscal year. So you'll see some that were over budget slightly now. That's expected because the savings comes in the last half of the year to offset that. And I'll try to highlight that a little bit. So this is a graph that I thought would be helpful just as you see this, hopefully on a regular basis every quarter, just to see how costs are trending. If you remember, we looked at and compare a lot of things when we look at health plan costs on a quarterly basis or on a per employee per month basis. And so what you see here is in the top section is the number of employees that are actually enrolled in the health plan. And then in the bottom are the actual cost on a per employee per month basis demonstrated by each quarter. And you'll see on the far right side, so enrollment is slightly down for the first quarter of the fiscal year. Our costs are the 1489, that represents about a 7.2% increase in cost. So if you compare, budget increase was about 6%. We're running at about 7.2% increase. So the point that I made as far as we are running slightly above, that's expected because we see the savings in the last half. If I took that savings we're expecting and I apply that to the quarter and annualize that and just spread it out, we'd actually be more like about a 4.7, 4.8%. So we're in line with where we expect to be. I think it's important to note healthcare continues to be pretty dynamic. It's an extremely challenging market. We see cost increases much more significant than we have in many years. In fact, I've done this for 31 years. I got to go back about 21 years since I've seen what we're going through now from a cost perspective and how costs are increasing. So a lot of the actions that you all agreed to and have put in place are extremely important to continue to manage the health plan on an ongoing basis. Couple of things that also happened during this first quarter that skewed when we start breaking it down to short periods of time and look at it on quarter basis. We had a large claim, $566,000 that was paid in that first quarter. Not abnormal. I mean, we've had claims like that in the past in the health plan, but when you look at it in just a quarter and it was all paid that quarter, it's going to skew the numbers a little bit. So there is a little bit of an impact on a quarter basis just because we had that one very significant claim come through. One thing in the past, the question was asked on a per claim, and so I'm going to give you kind of category how things are actually tracking. We start looking at it more from a utilization basis, but on a per claim basis, the medical claim, if we look to take all the number of claims, the average cost per medical claim is 2.6%. Per pharmacy claim is an increase of 3.4%. So kind of in line with what we'd expect. Obviously, that means we've had more claimants or more claims. When we look at that on a quarter for a short period of time, that doesn't tell you because there is seasonality to how many claims you have, different times of the year. Some other key points that we track, and obviously I've got an entire packet of data that my team is constantly looking at. But if you look at some key things, we talked about enrollment, membership, the employee count's down about 2% for the quarter, and that's in the far right-hand side. That is actually giving you what the result is compared to the last quarter when we presented the information. Dependents are down a little less than 2%. Overall, membership has declined. Spouses stayed about the same, so we didn't see a change in the spouse enrollment. One of the key things that's important that did improve is when we look at risk. So we look at risk score for employees, we look at risk score for dependents and spouses, and the actual spouse risk score did decrease. So that's a good directional move that we saw in the first quarter. This goes a little bit further. We kind of trying to benchmark what drives our cost, and the story hasn't changed so much since we looked at it last. In terms of pharmacy, continues to be the significant driver, and this is giving kind of that picture of where we stack up pharmacy costs to benchmark. I always say be careful with benchmark. Most benchmarks aren't just public sector data, and so if you do that, it brings it a little bit more normal. This is a national database, but directionally, if we adjust for that, we're still significantly higher in pharmacy. That was one of the big changes that was voted on and being implemented for January 1 is to address the pharmacy cost and what we're paying per prescription and those items. So hopefully we'll see some improvements from a pharmacy cost perspective. But all in all, there's not any category that really, if you look on the right of that page, that's really jumping out with significant increase. I mean, medical cost on a per employee, 2%. Pharmacy cost is right around 2%. you break down into the categories, inpatient decreasing, that's been happening for years because so much is moved to outpatient services, and you see the outpatient increase there, which is the highest category. But that is all normal. We see that on a regular basis. So the key thing I would point out there is just the continued pharmacy still remaining one of our key drivers in where we're at in relation to if you benchmark against peers. Looking at it from a member cost, so we have, as the health plan cost goes up, it affects what percentage is being paid by the health plan versus what percentage is being paid by employees and their family members when they actually use the health plan and have a claim at a doctor's office or a hospital pharmacy. In overall, the total number is still at 95. That's the same as it was. But when we look at just pharmacy, we see about a 0.5% decrease in what employees are paying, so closer to 2.5%. When that was last time we met, that was closer to 3%. And a lot of that's because we see pharmacy costs increasing, copays stay the same, so the plan picks up more of the cost. And so right now you look at medical inflation on a national basis is set at about 8.5%. And so you're absorbing all of that every time somebody goes to the pharmacy. Those drugs go up 8.5%. The health plan pays the full 8.5% because the copay stayed the same. So just important measures. I've got a benchmark stat there. If you look at 88% would be kind of more the benchmark. Give you a reference. The state of Tennessee health plan is pretty close to that 88% versus 95%. And just to reiterate what that really says. So you go to the doctor's office, it's $100. What that 95% means is that the health plan's paying $95 of that on average. The employee's paying $5 of that. And so when you think about the difference, that in essence, the simple way to look at that would be the health plan's about 7% richer than the benchmark, which we, I think, have talked through and presented, but just gives kind of perspective of how good the benefits are currently in place. Couple of looking at it from a cost perspective, things that continue to have an impact on costs. Retiree health plan, which is retirees typically do cost more. That's the benefit of having retiree benefits to be taken care of when we all probably need a little more attention. But in total, retirees cost the plan about almost $8.7 million. If you compare the cost of a retiree versus an active employee, it's about 28% more. And so one of the actions that we're taking, we're adjusting what retirees pay for insurance based on the contracted rates. We're closing part of that gap that gets about $400,000 of that, but that we'd still be only closing about half the gap of what that should be. But just important to kind of keep perspective of what the actual costs are and what's driving when we look at what retirees versus actives do cost. Give you just a summary kind of other key cost drivers. And a lot of this is because we talked about them, but I just want to make sure we highlight them again. Spouses continue to cost the plan more than an employee. Previously, when we looked at this, they were 21% more. This quarter, it's actually gone up to 42% more. The word of caution there and being careful with that is the large claim was a dependent. And so that's going to skew that number. It will come back down throughout the year. But that is definitely still a significant impact to the plan. I mentioned that the national trend sitting at 8.5%. So that's kind of, you think about, you have this exact same services, which we don't every year. That's going to change. But you have the exact same things done, it still costs 8.5% more. So what do we do? How do we continue to manage that? And I think historically, the schools have done very well at trying to be proactive with the on-site clinics, on-site pharmacies, and all the different things that have been done to try to address that, but important that we continue to do so going forward. Population risk status, so the risk score staying constant is actually a really good thing. That typically deteriorates year over year, meaning the risk score goes up because as we age, we get less healthy. And so the fact that that's staying constant is actually a favorable outcome. Already talked about retirees. The large claim has an impact, so that'll mitigate, and we would expect that actually will get a little better. There's two other things I just wanted to highlight. One is the time to process. So these kind of gets into the weeds of things, but it does affect when we're looking at just a quarter cost. When Blue Cross Blue Shield, who is paying part of the claims, Cigna pays part of the claims, depending on which health plan employees are enrolled in. When their turnaround time on claims changes, and it will vary throughout the year just based on different time, that actually can drive up health plan costs for that quarter or artificially lower, just because you might have paid 3 extra days of claims during that quarter or 3 less days of claims. And so that has an impact, and in this month actually, or this quarter had a decent impact of about $300,000 just because of what the turnaround time actually increasing. So just a key point, that has a separate effect of your incurred but not reported costs actually go down, because if you pay them faster, you don't have as many at the end of the year that have been incurred but not paid yet. So that liability goes down on the books. And that actually went down by about 4.7% this quarter. The other, just to close it and open up for any questions you may have, we talked about kind of currently we'd be slightly above budget. That's the expectation when you look at it, because all the savings are all driven in the second half of the year. So that's going to be when we would hope to see that kind of level out. And as we look at that on an annual basis, we're kind of in the position we would have expected us to be at this point. So with that, if you have any questions, happy to answer anything that I can.
Ms. Black.
Couple questions.
Sure.
Slide 6, why were we so off for our benchmark for pharmacy claims? Is there like something you can point to as to why we're so far above what we had expected?
Yeah, so probably the biggest driver there is going to be the benefit, how rich it is. And because this is all reporting on what plan paid. And so on average, the benchmark, the overall is 88%. Pharmacy is going to be 88, 86%, would be probably even slightly lower a lot of times. And so if you figure that's 10% of that difference is just you just have a richer benefit. Employees pay a lot less than most employers would when they pick up prescriptions. And that lines up. There's prescriptions that are covered at 100% and lower copays, so that would be a big drive of that.
Okay.
Yes, GLP-1s, which is now used for diabetics, but also continued push for other indications, have driven a significant impact. They're number one in everybody's list as far as category, and they're number one for the schools as well. And more continues to get taken care of in pharmacy. Cancer, for instance, there's many cancers out there that used to be chemo, radiation, and now it's a prescription. It's something you're getting through the pharmacy, and so we avoid cost here, but it now moved into pharmacy.
And I think too, with the new PBM, and Brent can speak to it, that will mitigate a lot of those costs, in particular with the specialty drugs that he mentioned for cancer and other conditions. So that should help us, and that again goes in effect January 1. We're going to be sending out more information so employees are aware, because instead of having your Cigna card or your Blue Cross card, you go to the pharmacy, you'll receive an ARTS benefit card. So that will be new
Yeah, and the fortunate part of that from the RFP that was done, a lot of that comes from like unit cost savings, so the price of the drug, not, there's going to be some level of change. There always is change if you change pharmacy benefit management companies. But much of that savings just comes from we buy that drug cheaper than what we are today, which is the best way to save money, is we're not taking something away, we just buy it at a lower price point.
Okay. Also, the retiree benefit. I just wanted to kind of clarify for everyone. Do we offer this as a benefit because we can provide this at a significantly lower cost than one of our retirees can purchase on the marketplace?
So what retirees are paying for coverage is significantly less than what's available on the marketplace.
Okay. So this is a way of taking care of our former employees, and that's why we do this. And we can offer it a lot cheaper than they can get it on the marketplace as an individual.
Yeah, I mean, cheaper, and there's still a significant cost
Sure.
to the school board. What they're paying is less.
Okay.
In total, I mean, they might get it cheaper through the marketplace because you have subsidies and those kinds of things. If you're not making income and you're retired and have a lower income, you may get subsidized care, so that could be the case. But it is definitely cheaper than what they're going to pay most of the time.
So we're actually going to discuss this a little later. I don't know if you saw on the agenda. But currently, if an employee retires from Hamilton County Schools and they have 5 years of service and they meet the age requirements and TCRS requirements, then they can potentially maintain our retiree insurance. They can stay on it for 10, 15 years. And most other employers, well, no other employer does that. So we're going to talk a little bit later tonight, but even the state of Tennessee, you have to have worked for a school district for 20 years, and actually you have to have been hired before July 1, 2015. So we have been very generous. We want to take care of our amazing retirees, but the ones who put in long-term service. So what we're proposing is to change that to classified 15 and certified 20 years.
Okay, so do they stay past their 65th birthday?
No, they roll
Okay.
off at
Okay,
65,
that's what I
but
thought.
if they retire at 55, then we have them for 10 years. Or if they have a spouse who's 15 years younger than they are, then we also have that spouse.
Okay, Mr. King?
Yeah, and so as I was speaking on the same thing, as I was looking into it, two things, and I talked to Dr. Robertson, so we're going to look at talking about not the actual HCS employee, but their spouse at a later time. But as I was looking through that, I came across the name of the two plans, Legacy Plan and Hybrid Plan. Explain the difference in what those two plans are.
So those are the TCRS pension plans. And so the legacy plans would be what you and I were on, Gary. But anyone newly hired, I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's in the recent years, then they would be on the hybrid plan, which is part pension, part 401k. Yes.
So it's a combination.
Yes, and the state has different age requirements for those retirement eligibilities.
Ms. Black, did you said, okay. Okay.
One more question, Chairman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I do want to thank Brent for coming and putting all this together, and Penny, all your efforts as well. The quarterly report in its entirety is incredibly extensive, and I think it's testament that you guys are doing a really good job. So I want you to know we appreciate it, and I know it's a lot of work. I continue to believe that this is an area that is arguably the most volatile when it comes to just the impact on the overall budget. So having these kind of conversations is helpful, and I think it's helpful for the board, for myself, to just get a better understanding of it. So we appreciate that. I think ultimately it's what we're trying to figure out is and I know Dr. Brown will agree with this, is what's the balance with providing a great salary plus great benefits while remaining competitive. And I don't think anybody has the exact right answer to that, but that's the direction we're ultimately trying to go with these kind of conversations. So I just want to thank Brent for all his work and for coming out here on a rainy Thursday.
No, I much appreciate it, and hopefully we continue that opportunity, because I think it's really helpful to make sure you all understand kind of how things are progressing, and gives us a chance, I think, to be proactive with the health plan. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Okay, no more lights. Brett, Penny, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, that'll take us down to our committee chair updates, and I'll just start to my far left over here and call on Mr. Connor, Transportation. Any updates there?
Yeah, just we spoke, excuse me, the board members spoke about an incident last month, and I think that the way that I mentioned we'd be putting into getting information out, showcased this week when one of our buses hit a deer, and we were all aware of it. We were aware that no students were harmed. The deer in question is, we do not know if it was harmed, but probably. So, but yeah, I think the system is working, so I'm happy to say that.
Okay. Okay, policy, please.
Yeah, our policy committee meeting is on Monday, December 8th at 5 o'clock. This is our quarterly 2 policy meeting where we'll be discussing policies in section 5, which is the personnel section. We will discuss this month's submitted first reads that's on our agenda tonight, and any other policies requested to be discussed during that time.
Okay. And again, that date?
December 8th
December
at 5
8th.
o'clock.
Okay. Okay, school safety, Ms. Schaefer.
I will be meeting with Robert Sharp privately for an update December the 19th. We already have that scheduled. Then we can talk as the board, as that's not really a public committee. And then legislative, we are joining the policy on December the 8th to talk about the legislative goals.
Okay, good. December the 8th at 5 o'clock. Facilities, Mr. King.
Facilities meeting will be December 1st at 5:30, hopefully holding it for an hour. We are wrapping up a video project that you'll all get to see what phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 has kind of produced, and then that we will share with our county commissioners. We'll also, we have a phase 5 coming up that we'll need to discuss. And we'll do, for some of you, you had questions, we'll do a report on our ABM and some things there. And then the last thing we'll do is just a little proposal for our maintenance department. So that'll be December 8th, 5:30.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, December.
I mean, December 1st, 5:30, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Moved it to the 1st.
December 1st, okay. Finance, Mr. Daugherty.
No major updates, but I will look to schedule a finance committee meeting in December at a time that hopefully works for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
TBD.
Athletics, Mr. Slater down there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be getting with Penny about the first recommendation from the advisory committee. We would like to discuss this at the policy meeting, policy 4.304, as far as adding the mission and vision statement to our athletics.
Okay, very good. Okay, takes us down to discussion of our board agenda. You have a question, Ms. Jones? Yes.
This question is for the legislative chair. Will you be providing a update on what happened at TSBA at the legislative meeting on the 8th for those that may not have been in attendance or
Yes,
present?
ma'am.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, takes us down to our discussion of our board meeting agenda. And as we always do, we usually don't get this far, so we're doing well. I'll just ask if anyone has a desire to bring something up that's on the agenda rather than going through this step by step. So anybody that has something you'd like to just throw out there right now would be the time to do it. Go ahead, Mr. King.
All right, and this isn't, so on 7A, PE, and CTE textbook adoption, was there a reason that was, on my computer, it came in almost so light that I could not read it? And I'm not sure, but that was the only page that was like that. It was the font they used? Okay. I wondered, and mine's a real small, so, but I actually had trouble reading that, so I was just gonna ask that question. And then on 10A2, the hard-to-staff schools, I needed, maybe if you could give a definition of the difference between promise, hope, and legacy, what it was.
Yes, sir. The Promise Schools and Hope Schools are our schools that they're categorized. We've been used for many years in different subgroups for our students. But all in all, we have a limited number. I'm going to try to pull up the list here for a second for our Promise Schools as well as our Hope Schools. What I can do, and actually,
Well, it was the legacy. I hadn't heard that term before.
yes, sir. I believe it's 3 years ago, as we were looking at our budget and making sure that we are the funds are going to the right schools. We end up rolling off some of the schools. I believe like a Spring Creek. It was 4 or 5 schools: East Ridge Middle. But the idea of the hard to staff was to maintain retention. So the teachers that elected to stay there, we held them harmless, right? So as long as they maintain their service at that school, they still receive the HOPE funding.
Okay, all right. That was the one, that clears that.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else got something you want to just lay out there? Well, that's good. Might mean we're going to be in for a.
Don't do it.
Don't jinx us. Okay. Okay. Well, if no one has anything, then I'm going to adjourn the work session. We'll take a little break and be back in about 10 minutes. Okay? Meeting adjourned.